My wife, Lyra, is young, brilliant, and the youngest chief of neurology at the provincial hospital. She's passionate about medical research. All her documents and achievements are stored in an encrypted computer in her research lab. Besides her, only I can open that computer. So when I saw Ethan, the new intern, skillfully enter the password and brazenly extract data from the machine, I realized that perhaps this marriage should end soon. And at the same time, everything Lyra gained by depending on me should also cease. Afterwards, she tearfully confronted me. "Why are you destroying me?" I scoffed. "I'm a businessman. If an investment fails, shouldn't I be able to withdraw my capital?" On Lyra's birthday, I specifically went to the hospital to pick her up for her celebration. She's a research fanatic. When she doesn't have surgery, she practically lives in the lab all day. To prevent data leaks, I helped her install a separate encrypted computer. Aside from her, only I know the password. When I arrived, she was still in surgery, so I decided to wait in the lab. The lab door opened with just a gentle push. Lyra wasn't there, but sitting at her desk was a person, Ethan, an intern from her department. He was skillfully operating on the computer. Seeing me enter, he was momentarily surprised, then immediately greeted me warmly. "Director Kylo, you're here? Dr. Lyra is still in surgery and asked me to help organize the data beforehand." As he spoke, he casually pulled a USB drive from the computer and slipped it into his pocket. "Please, Director Kylo, have a seat. I'll pour you some tea." He skillfully opened the right-hand drawer of the desk, retrieving the special tea leaves Lyra kept, acting as if he owned the place. I said nothing, my heart heavy. Lyra once told me, "This experiment is crucial to me, the final step towards an international medical award. All the data is thoroughly encrypted by a hacker, only a private password can open it." She said, "Kylo, you're my husband, the person I trust most. Only the two of us know this password." Yet now, Ethan could freely use that computer, effortlessly downloading data. I, her legal husband, was nothing more than an outsider. Every gesture, every glance from him implicitly asserted that he was more special to Lyra. I had once refused a commercial marriage, determined to marry Lyra, the woman I loved at first sight. I thought our love was genuine, unique, but looking back now, perhaps it was all just my one-sided delusion. I masked my inner turmoil with a cold expression. "Get out." Ethan froze, his hand still holding the teacup, but I repeated, my voice cold, "Get out. This hospital was built with my investment. I have the right to dismiss an intern." He knew it too, his face paling. He bowed his head silently. "Yes, Director Kylo." With that, he placed the teacup down, turned, and left. On Lyra's desk, he left behind a fountain pen he hadn't taken with him, and the air still carried the nauseating scent of cheap shower gel. Not long after, Lyra arrived. "Kylo, why are you here so early?" She looked slightly surprised, her eyes scanning the room. "Where's Ethan? I don't see him." I wondered when her way of referring to Ethan had changed from little Ethan to just Ethan. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my composure. I told him to leave. "Lyra, why does Ethan know your computer password?" Lyra froze slightly, avoiding my gaze. "You know, I was busy with surgery and the data was urgent, so I asked him to help open the computer. It's nothing, don't overthink it." She tried to hug me, but I took a step back, avoiding her. "Am I overthinking it? You once said this data was more important than your life. You said you trusted no one but me. And now, is Ethan also someone you trust with your life?" I looked at her with an unprecedented coldness in my eyes. I don't want a third person interfering in our marital relationship. No matter who it is, no matter the reason, it's unacceptable. Lyra forced a smile, clearly not expecting me to be so serious. After a moment of silence, she seriously promised, "All right, I promise. Tomorrow I'll change the password and won't tell anyone else." Because of this, Lyra's birthday was anything but happy. I had booked a luxurious high-rise restaurant and gifted her the high-end research equipment she had long desired. On the surface, we were still a happy couple, but deep down, I knew this marriage had fractured beyond repair. That evening, back home, Lyra hugged me. "Kylo, you haven't smiled once all night. Are you still angry about what happened earlier today?" She kissed my cheek, her voice cajoling. "It's my birthday today, can't you stop being mad? Besides, I only see Ethan as a student. You know, I've always been sensitive about these things." I sighed softly. "Lyra, it's not that I'm suspicious of your relationship with him. Even if it had been a woman opening your computer today, I still couldn't accept it. What I truly care about is that someone has broken the unique bond between us. I know how much you value your research results, so the computer password has long been more than just a password. It's a symbol of the trust and boundless love between us. I don't want anyone to cross that boundary, because it makes me doubt if I'm still the only one in your heart. A flicker of remorse appeared in Lyra's eyes. I'm sorry, Kylo. It was my carelessness that upset you. I promise this will never happen again. Sometime later, Ethan, who had been quiet for a while, unexpectedly reappeared in my sight. He posted an excited status update. So happy, finally got 8 SCI papers published, accompanied by a collage of photos of the published articles. I frowned, sensing something was wrong, and called Lyra, or rather, I called Vice Chief Dr. Lucius. He came from a small village and was sponsored by my father for university. Later, I arranged for him to work at the provincial hospital, so he always regarded my father and me as his benefactors, hiding nothing from us. As soon as I mentioned Ethan's name, Dr. Lucius understood my implication. His abilities are decent, but publishing 8 SCI papers in 1 month truly surprises me. Next month, a top medical conference will be held in the capital. One of the conditions for participation is having at least 8 SCI papers. I hear Chief Lyra has already decided to take him to the conference. As a sponsor and organizer, of course, I knew this conference well. The topic was brain stimulation, precisely Lyra's specialty. All the participating experts were major figures in the field. 8 SCI papers were merely an entry requirement, not enough to enter the main hall. Ethan was an intern who hadn't even performed many surgeries. Even if he had enough papers with his experience and capabilities, there was no way he could enter the main hall. Yet Lyra wanted to bring him along. Dr. Lucius continued, "The entire hospital is buzzing. Everyone finds Ethan's papers incredibly deep, and their style so similar to Chief Lyra's that suspicions are widespread. In short, everyone thinks their relationship is very intimate." My hand, clutching the phone, trembled. Even breathing became difficult. What exactly did Lyra intend to do? She dared to openly help Ethan to this extent, even willing to forge things, which was worse than just letting him know the computer password. Was that apology a lie, the promise a falsehood, or were those sweet words just meant to appease me? Fine. If she wanted to challenge my limits, she should be prepared for me to crush her. I immediately called my secretary and requested a change in the conference structure, dividing it into 2 halls, main and auxiliary. The main hall would have strict entry conditions. No one but international experts would be allowed in. The auxiliary hall would have lowered standards, allowing anyone with 8 SCI papers to participate. Then, I sent out several invitations to Chief Lyra's department, inviting the entire department to participate, reserving the best positions for them in the auxiliary hall. My secretary immediately carried it out, and the announcement spread across the network. The conference, already highly anticipated, now shook the medical community even more. Countless doctors meeting the conditions rushed to register, thrilled to have a chance to participate, even if only in the auxiliary hall. As a result, Ethan's reputation as an invited participant became ludicrous. While Lyra might help him write papers, she couldn't change his status, nor could she break rules to get him into the main hall. When thousands entered the auxiliary hall, he, who was once considered special, was no longer special. And because of his earlier excessive boasting, he was now an object of ridicule. Dr. Lucius recounted that on the day of the conference, Ethan was buried by the crowd in the auxiliary hall. His speech draft, prepared for half a month, went unused, causing his face to darken. He angrily left before noon. I wanted to let him know that Lyra's favoritism wasn't enough for him to contend with me, and also to remind Lyra exactly where everything she had now came from. That evening after the conference, Lyra came home very late, smelling of alcohol and carrying an IV drip. I, of course, knew why, but I feigned ignorance. "There's hangover soup in the kitchen, drink it." Seeing my calm demeanor, the words of reproach she intended to utter caught in her throat. "No need, I'm going to bed first." She kicked off her high heels, her face darkened, and went upstairs. With a bang, the bedroom door slammed shut. Seeing that, I knew immediately. Ethan must have gone to her and said something. Just then, Dr. Lucius called, recounting the entire incident to me. After the conference ended, Ethan had blocked Lyra in the parking lot, his eyes red and pleading. "Chief Lyra, I've worked so hard for so long, only hoping to attend the conference to broaden my horizons and learn more. I just wanted to become your capable assistant sooner." I never expected to displease Director Kylo, even causing him to change the entire system, waste resources, and prevent you and me from attending the conference. Now everyone is laughing behind my back, saying I've lost everything. I truly feel too ashamed, so I specifically came to resign. Thank you for taking care of me all this time. With just a few sentences, he had painted himself as an innocent victim. And I, in turn, became the petty, calculating man who used dirty money to bully others. Lyra, from a poor background, hated nothing more than seeing the weak bullied. Her protective instincts surged fiercely. She not only urged him to stay, but also defiantly declared she would seek justice for him. I gave a cold laugh. This trick was so cheap, yet it was precisely the kind Lyra was most susceptible to. I could only blame myself for protecting her for too long, making her believe she had become strong enough to protect others. One morning, Lyra sat across from me. "Kylo, Ethan will come to visit you this afternoon." My hand, holding the spoon of congee, froze. I looked up, my gaze cold. "Visit me?" Lyra nodded, choosing her words carefully. "What happened at the last conference affected Ethan deeply. He wants a chance to explain himself to you. Please don't make things difficult for him anymore." "Make things difficult?" I stared at the woman who was my wife, feeling an overwhelming sense of unfamiliarity. "His strutting around the hospital, relying on the privileges you gave him, was a misunderstanding. You helping him write papers, intending to secretly bring him to the conference, that was also a misunderstanding." Lyra didn't expect me to speak so directly. She froze, then hastily explained. "Kylo, you've misunderstood. I only gave him a brief guidance on those papers. He mostly wrote them himself. And regarding the conference, Ethan's abilities aren't bad. Lately, he's helped me with a lot of things, so I just wanted to bring him along to broaden his horizons. That's all, there's no other meaning." I put down my bowl and chopsticks, unwilling to listen to any more excuses. If this is a notification, then let him come. I also have a few things I want to make clear. That afternoon, Ethan arrived carrying a fruit basket. Today, he wore a crisp white shirt, his hair neatly combed, looking much brighter than in his hospital uniform. He stood behind Lyra, his eyes red and swollen, looking at me. "Director Kylo, I apologize. I was wrong about the papers. I shouldn't have posted them on social media, nor should I have boasted about attending the conference. I just found the opportunity too rare to resist, and I was so happy that I misspoke, which displeased you. It's my fault, please forgive me." After speaking, he bowed deeply, appearing very sincere. Lyra gently nudged my shoulder, implying she wanted me to accept his apology. I feigned ignorance, my cold gaze sweeping over Ethan. "I called you here not to hear apologies, but to make a few things clear. First, recognize your place and fulfill your duties. Don't dream of things that don't belong to you. Second, don't play petty games to test my limits. Otherwise, you'll bear the consequences yourself." Ethan froze. He turned to look at Lyra as if seeking help. I also shifted my gaze to her, my voice brooking no argument. "Lyra, my patience has its limits. If I see something like this again, I will not forgive." With that, I ignored their awkward expressions, turned, and went upstairs. After Ethan was sent off, Lyra angrily ran upstairs. "Kylo, what has gotten into you? Ethan came all the way to apologize, and if you don't accept it, fine, but why do you have to be so overbearing? And regarding the conference, you arbitrarily changed the structure just to target Ethan, diminishing the conference's prestige and wasting so many resources. Was it worth it?" "I'm overbearing?" When one is truly speechless, all you can do is laugh. "Even now, you still think it's my fault. You arbitrarily gave privileges that rightfully belonged to me to someone else, even breaking your own principles to help him falsify things and pave his way. So, should I just pretend to be blind and deaf?" Lyra choked on her words, then suddenly raised her voice. "I've told you already, I only acknowledge Ethan's ability and appreciate his help. I've brought other people to conferences before." I scoffed. "Ability? Help? His ability is for you to write papers for him. Oh, Lyra, do you dare say you have absolutely no feelings for him?" Lyra tried to defend herself. "I just see that it's not easy for him to rise on his own. I was once an intern too. I understand that situation. If I can help, I should." She then looked up at me, her eyes firm. "And this is my job. As the head of the department, I have the right to guide my subordinates and connect them with experts, both domestic and international. I nodded calmly. Very well. Then, as your husband, I also have the right to divorce, don't I? Lyra's face immediately changed, incredulous. Kylo, we've been in love for 10 years. You're asking for a divorce over such a small matter. I replied, my eyes as cold as ice. What I need is a complete heart, to be the only one in your heart. And once you've crossed that line, I naturally have to reconsider whether this marriage is still worth maintaining. Perhaps hurt by the decisiveness in my gaze, Lyra finally gritted her teeth and conceded. All right, I'll listen to you. From today onwards, I will no longer show any special favoritism towards Ethan, nor will I have any private contact with him outside of work. Are you satisfied now? And please, stop threatening me with divorce. I didn't reply, because divorce wasn't a threat, and I knew her well enough to know these promises were only temporary. For a long time afterwards, Lyra adhered to her commitment, maintaining distance from Ethan. I heard he tried to meet her privately many times, but she always skillfully refused. Ethan's attempts to court Lyra failed, and rumors spread that he had once been favored but was now discarded. Additionally, in the past, he had offended many by riding on Lyra's coattails, so he was gradually alienated and isolated by his colleagues. The mounting pressure caused him to lose focus at work, making continuous mistakes and leading to numerous complaints from patients' families. Once, when I went to the hospital to find Lyra, I saw him from a distance and almost didn't recognize him. His once radiant face was now etched with fatigue, making him look years older. But I didn't soften, nor did I intervene. If a person makes a mistake, they must pay the price that is fair. Not long after, events took a sudden turn. During a critical neurosurgery, Ethan was assisting Dr. Lucius. Due to his lack of focus, he nearly caused a serious incident. Stepping out of the operating room, Dr. Lucius angrily reprimanded him on the spot. Ethan stood with his head bowed amidst the crowd, looking both pathetic and humiliated. That scene was witnessed by Lyra at just the wrong moment. Her face darkened, her eyes as cold as daggers, as if she wanted to carve a hole through Dr. Lucius. I knew she was recalling her early days in the profession, the times she was scolded, wronged, and the old wounds that suddenly resurfaced. Back then, as an intern without connections, she was bullied by colleagues, subjected to rumors, even had her research results stolen, and was almost falsely accused in a serious medical incident. So Ethan's current predicament stirred her protective instincts, making her forget her promise to me once again. That night, Lyra and I had the fiercest argument since our marriage. She pointed directly at my face, shouting, "Kylo, that's enough. Do you have to push people to their deaths to be satisfied?" I was stunned. "Push who to death? Are you still pretending?" She was uncontrollably angry. "Didn't you instigate Dr. Lucius to suppress Ethan? Do you know how humiliated he was today? He's as pitiful as I was back then." She didn't care about right or wrong, hastily dumping all the blame on me. I, of course, refused to take the blame. I never told anyone to bully him. He's not concerned with improving his medical skills, constantly looking for loopholes. It's normal for him to be dismissed from the hospital. And stop bringing up the past. Ethan is not a reflection of your past self. Put away that cheap pity. Cheap? She let out a cold laugh. Kylo, I never imagined you could be so heartless. You, who grew up in luxury, would never understand the struggles of people like us from the lower class. All you know is how to wield your power to bully others. I felt as if my heart was being sliced by a knife. This woman, who was loudly scolding me for another man, was she still the one I had risked everything to marry? I was too disappointed to argue or explain anymore. The next day, Dr. Lucius was transferred out of the department, while Ethan was specially retained by Lyra. The news spread simultaneously. Lyra used her actions to slap all those who had bullied Ethan, while silently declaring to me that she would protect Ethan to the very end. From that day on, Lyra and I completely fell into a cold war. She moved into the hospital dormitory. I didn't try to stop her. In fact, I felt a sense of relief at not having to face her cold expression every day. But Lyra seemed to deliberately provoke me, continuously testing my limits. She not only repeatedly brought Ethan to major medical conferences, but also exceptionally promoted him, increased his salary, and even allowed him to openly step into her private life. One time, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Ethan. He smiled brightly. "Hello, Mr. Kylo. Dr. Lyra took me to the Capitol for an academic seminar today, and we didn't have time to go home, so she asked me to drop by and pick up some documents and personal items. His appearance was completely different from his previous haggard look. Now he was full of spirit, even a little smug. I told the housekeeper to handle it. I didn't spare him a single glance throughout the entire process. After he left, my heart slowly grew cold. Lyra, do you really have to do this to torment me, to hurt me? I blocked all means of contact with Lyra, refused to meet her, and coldly handled the relationship between us. Once the balance in her heart had completely tipped towards Ethan, I had nothing left to cling to. Lyra's excessive care for Ethan became so obvious that outsiders noticed something unusual, and rumors spread wider and wider. Ethan not only didn't explain himself, but happily reveled in it. He frequently posted statuses hinting at Lyra's special favoritism towards him. Sometimes, it was a photo of the two of them at an international medical conference, with a caption like, "So thrilled to attend such an important conference, feeling incredibly excited." Other times, it was a photo of him and Lyra conducting experiments in a private lab. The caption, "Learned so much from Dr. Lyra again today." There were even selfies of them eating together. The caption, "Just finished a major surgery, rewarding myself with a delicious meal." I deleted and blocked him directly. I didn't care, nor did I want to know any more suspicious details about them. When disappointment accumulates to its limit, a self-preservation mechanism kicks in. I began contacting lawyers, inventorying marital and non-marital assets, and calculating everything I had invested in Lyra over the years. The marriage could no longer be relied upon. At the very least, I had to protect my own interests. Lyra thought she could hurt me for the sake of another, and Ethan thought he had won. Being chosen by Lyra, entrusted with her trust, was truly laughable. Very soon, they would pay for what they had done. That day, Lyra's mother was hospitalized and called me several times, saying she wanted to see me. I knew she had heard about the issues between Lyra and me and wanted to use the opportunity to reconcile, so I reluctantly agreed to go. To prevent the elders from worrying, I went to the lab to find Lyra first. The lab door was closed but unlocked. I knocked, and only when I heard her say, "Come in," did I open the door and step inside. The spacious lab held only 2 people. Lyra, wearing safety goggles, was conducting an experiment. Ethan sat at the computer, using her machine to record data. Lyra glanced at me, her voice indifferent. "I'm busy, Kylo, please wait a moment." My hand tightened on the doorknob, my gaze swept across the computer, then landed on Ethan behind the screen. Lyra knew what was bothering me and subtly frowned. "Ethan, turn off the computer." Ethan looked bewildered. "But the data isn't fully recorded. Should I transfer it all to my machine? I won't be using this machine anymore." After saying this, she gave me a meaningful glance. "From now on, only you can use it. Is that clear enough?" She transferred all her data, the very thing she valued more than her life, to Ethan's machine, leaving me with an empty computer. Truly, the art of humiliating someone had reached its pinnacle. Lyra said nothing more to me, focusing intently on her experiment. Ethan, while copying data, shot me glances filled with contempt, his face clearly showing triumph, but he didn't know I no longer felt pain. My heart had become as still as water. I even found it amusing. Half an hour later, Lyra and I went together to her mother's hospital room. Her face remained calm as if nothing had happened, completely oblivious to the hurt she had just inflicted upon me. She even discussed work with me as usual. "Next week's expert conference is very important. I'll be presenting my latest research findings. Please help me invite a few more top experts to attend. Cost is not an issue." At this point, she added a reminder that it must be organized at a very high standard. "Don't let anything like last time happen again." I didn't reply, simply took out my phone and messaged my secretary. In the hospital room, Lyra's mother kept me talking for a long time, even advising Lyra and me to have children soon, hoping it would mend our relationship. Lyra pretended to be cheerful, agreeing profusely, while I silently sat peeling an apple for her mother. Suddenly, Lyra's phone rang, displaying a familiar name on the screen. As soon as she answered and heard a few words, her expression instantly changed. "What? Cancelled? Are you sure? How can that be?" It was unclear what the other person said, but Lyra's face became increasingly unsightly, and her hand holding the phone began to tremble. Her mother, seeing this, also grew worried. "What's wrong, dear?" Lyra silently hung up, then looked up at me with an incredulous gaze. Did you tell someone to cancel next week's expert conference? I didn't answer, tacitly admitting it. In her eyes, surprise, anger, and suspicion immediately flashed. And was stopping the lab upgrade project also your idea? And the Medical Research Institute collaborating with Than Dai University, with investors successively withdrawing their capital is that also connected to you? Lyra's mother also looked at me, her face full of astonishment. Kylo, weren't you always her biggest supporter? Lyra, are you mistaken? How could this possibly involve Kylo? Lyra stared at me as if still hoping to hear a denial. I smiled, calmly meeting her gaze. No mistake, everything was arranged by me. Lyra staggered back a step, her voice trembling as she asked me, "Why did you do that? You clearly know how important scientific research is to me, yet you destroyed everything. It's like destroying me, destroying your own wife." I let out a cold laugh, cutting her off. When you let Ethan gradually invade my boundaries, when you spoke harshly to me because of him, when you humiliated me right in front of him, did you still remember you were my wife? I looked at her with the eyes of a stranger. You betrayed this marriage first, betrayed me, so don't blame me for taking back everything I've given. I'm a businessman. If an investment fails, shouldn't I withdraw my capital? At the very least, I must cut my losses at the right time. Lyra, her eyes red, retorted, I didn't betray you. How many times do I have to say it for you to believe me? I only see Ethan as a student. I just wanted to take care of him. How can you treat me like this just because of baseless suspicions? Baseless suspicions? I scoffed. It was precisely those baseless suspicions that truly hurt me. When there's no longer trust between a husband and wife, what meaning does love still hold? I looked at her, saying each word distinctly. Lyra, we are divorcing. As I walked out of the hospital room, Lyra immediately ran after me. Kylo, can we talk about this at home? I can explain everything clearly to you. Her face was filled with panic, even a hint of pleading. I pulled my hand away from hers. From the moment you allowed Ethan to freely enter and exit our home, that place ceased to be a home. The hallway was filled with people gathering to watch. Lyra's face flushed red, and she lowered her voice, begging me. Seeing her desperate appearance, I let out a cold laugh. All right, let's talk at home. We arrived at the house that was once our home. The large villa was now empty. All my belongings had been moved out. Hers were packed and stacked in a corner. I said coldly, I'm preparing to sell this house. Move all your things to the hospital dormitory. For the marital and non-marital assets, my lawyer will contact you for division. Only then did Lyra realize that I was truly not looking back. She collapsed, kneeling, and begged me. Kylo, please, I beg you, don't be so cruel to me. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have hurt you again and again. I just saw Ethan as I once was, and I couldn't help myself. From now on, I'll listen to you. Please, don't divorce me. Lyra was in tears like a lost child. If it had been before, I might have softened. But now it was merely ridiculous. What meaning did these words hold anymore? It was your indulgence towards Ethan that gradually eroded my love, pushing this marriage to the brink of despair. And furthermore, don't say Ethan is like your past self. When you were framed and almost jailed, who was it that saved you? It was me. Yet, for an absurd shadow of the past, you hurt the very person who pulled you out of hell. Lyra's face turned ashen. She couldn't utter a word, only shed silent tears. And those research investments, do you think investors were genuinely interested in your research, your techniques? They merely wanted to establish a connection with Kylo Corp through you. So, everything you have today, I brought to you. You can only blame yourself for single-handedly destroying the husband who once loved you wholeheartedly. Our marriage ends here. Let's not torment each other anymore. The divorce papers were sent to Lyra by the lawyer, but she refused to sign them, even attempting to salvage the situation through her actions. She accused Ethan of plagiarizing papers for SCI publication, using this as grounds to demand his dismissal from the hospital, decisively severing their ties. Afterwards, she put her research aside, and as soon as work ended, rushed to the apartment I was staying in, persistently clinging to me. She crossed the entire city just to buy my favorite pastry. Every day, she brought breakfast precisely on time, and even when I rejected her, she disregarded her pride, knelt at my doorstep, and tearfully begged for my forgiveness. But love was gone, clinging on was futile. I never expected Ethan to show up at my company. He was emaciated, his hair streaked with gray, his eyes weary and full of resentment. Kylo, seeing me in this state, are you satisfied yet? You have money, you have power, so you can bully people like me as much as you want. Let me tell you, deep down, Lyra likes me. She only bowed down to you because of your influence." I coldly cut him off. "Ethan, I think you still don't understand your current situation. It's not that I arbitrarily bullied you, but that you ambitiously sought to destroy another person's family. You wanted to take a shortcut to power. This is the karma you deserve. If you have time to come here and act insane, why don't you spend it reflecting on yourself?" After speaking, I walked past him, leaving without another word. "Kylo, stop!" He tried to follow, but was stopped by security in time, only able to stand behind me, angrily shouting in resentment. On the other side, Lyra had persistently tried to hold on to me for months, but my attitude never changed. I even expedited the asset division process, canceled her black card, and audited every expense I had invested in her life and career. Her standing in the hospital, and even in the entire medical community, plummeted to rock bottom. When everyone had abandoned her and she was isolated, Lyra finally realized, he really wants a divorce. She conceded, agreeing to the divorce through her lawyer. We met one last time at the Civil Affairs office. The confident light in her eyes had extinguished, replaced by a lingering pain. After signing the papers, the pink marriage certificate was replaced by a blue divorce certificate, an end to our marriage. I breathed a sigh of relief. This marriage had drained all my love and passion. The oppression left me breathless. Fortunately, it was over. I smiled and said goodbye to Lyra. But as I turned to leave, she called out to me, "Kylo, I'm sorry." Hearing her choked voice, I knew she was crying, but I didn't turn back, merely walking away decisively. From here on, we would go our separate ways. Later, through Dr. Lucius, I learned news about Lyra and Ethan. Ethan, due to academic fraud and interfering in the department chief's marriage, gained widespread notoriety. Not to mention large hospitals, even small clinics refused to hire him. At a dead end, he quietly left the city. What a pity. He was originally a young man with excellent academic achievements, but because of greed and a moment's mistake, he ultimately chose the wrong path. He would pay for it his entire life. As for Lyra, after the divorce, her life also hit rock bottom. Losing me meant not only losing a husband, but also losing the most important investor and resource in her life. She sought investors everywhere but was repeatedly rejected. Although she possessed skill and ambition, she had no platform to showcase them. Gradually, she became resigned, spending her days drowning her sorrows in alcohol. During a surgery, her negligence led to serious consequences, resulting in a lawsuit involving a human life. Although she later settled it with money, her career was considered over. She once tried to contact me again, but I flatly refused her. As for me, after escaping that suffocating marriage, I finally stepped into the brilliant light of my own life. Under my leadership, within just 1 year, my company reached new heights of development. Both domestic and international projects achieved resounding success. Alongside enjoying societal success, I also engaged in charitable work, building Hope primary schools and establishing scholarship funds, helping countless children escape the mountains and step out into the world. I believe this current life is truly what I desired.